Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers on the broadcast today, part 2 of my interview with Billy Vassiliadis, coming to you from the Las Vegas Metro Chamber. He's the CEO of R&R Partners. For the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
We opened our first shoot back in 1919, and it's been a wild ride ever since. Come celebrate 100 years of the Reno Rodeo. It's a big damn deal.
Retail's impact on Nevada's economy? Enormous. 8,600 businesses, large and small, employing 145,000 workers. And last fiscal year, retail paid tax on nearly $60 billion in sales. We're the Retail Association of Nevada. We support retail, we help it grow, and we mean business.
RANNV.org.
Pro Group Management specializes in providing industries with the necessary components to satisfy and exceed workers' comp requirements. Every business has unique needs and specific regulations. Pro Group Management stays ahead of the curve, providing up-to-date services to keep your industry in top form. Discover how we simplify your tasks, improve efficiency, and reduce expense to keep you moving in a positive direction. Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Truck drivers are some of the hardest working people you'll meet, delivering over 70% of America's freight and 92% of Nevada's. When there's a natural disaster, they're delivering critical supplies to help those communities recover and rebuild. Every sector of the economy and our nation's military rely on truck drivers. So let's take a moment to say thank you. On the open road or city streets, our truck drivers are rolling to make our economy and our nation stronger. Trucking moves America forward.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, this is part 2 of our interview with Billy Vassiliadis. He's the CEO of R&R Partners, and we're coming to you from the Las Vegas Metro Chamber. So in our last interview, we were getting into the news media. You were talking about problems with CNN.
I don't want to pick on CNN, most of the networks, especially the cable networks.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that it's smart of the Democratic candidates that are going to Fox News
Agreed.
to do these town halls because that's what you already have the people in your camp. Now you want to get the people in the other camp.
Agreed. And I think it shows courage. I think it shows transparency. It shows some honesty. It shows that you're not looking to have the game loaded for you every time you play. I think it's smart, absolutely. I would advise candidates to go on Fox, Democratic candidates. I'd advise Republicans to go on CNN.
Adolph Fox was the guy who purchased the New York Times in the late 1800s, and he basically didn't give a darn about advertisers, and he told his reporters, go out and report the news. If you want to irritate one of our top sponsors, it doesn't matter. And I'm paraphrasing, of course. He was probably far more eloquent than me. But these days, all of the news organizations were in big trouble, and Trump has been the best thing that ever happened to the news.
No, across the board.
So, you know, New York Times, front page is all Trump, Washington Post, Wall Street Journal, every demographic.
Right.
The problem is that the opinions that used to be on the editorial page are now within the stories.
Right.
Does that bother you as much as it bothers me?
Of course it does, because I think one of the things we talked about last segment is there's no common understanding or appreciation for the facts. Two people can't agree on the facts, and then we can argue the policy from there. When you can't even align on facts, what is factual? Did this happen or did this not happen? Is the deficit $2 trillion or $4 trillion? I mean, what's real? And no one knows what's real. And so they all go to their little echo chambers, their own little, whether it's a blog or a podcast that they listen to all the time, and whoever they've decided they like or who actually reinforces what they already believe, that's the person whose facts they go with. And so I think that the media has done a great harm to our democracy.
And I think the thing that's missing the most is context. That we hear this information from whichever side, and the context is missing. One of the things I loved about Tim Russert was that he would go on other people's shows. Somebody would ask him a question, he would answer the question in whatever vein it was asked, and then immediately say, but on the other hand, there are people who say, and suddenly you had context. And you know, is that even saleable? Is context? Do people want context, or do they just want to believe what they believe?
I think now they go to where they hear what they want to hear. I think when the FCC struck down equal time, I think that did a lot of damage, right? I mean, because then there was no measurement. There's no accountability. No one in the media is accountable to anybody but their viewers, their advertisers, I guess. You know, 24 hours now, CNN's been running. I don't want to keep picking on CNN because they're really, everybody all over the map is. I get better news out of BBC than I do out of American
Listen, Jeff
network.
Zucker and Donald Trump were friends for years. The rivalry between them is based on ratings for CNN and points for Donald Trump. They're both happy with the situation.
Oh yeah, but last 24 hours now, there's been breaking news or whatever they call it about Trump wanting his chief of staff to stop coughing during a TV interview. Seriously, who gives a crap? I don't even know who knows who his chief of staff is. I guess I'd be bugged if I'm the president of the United States, I'm giving an interview and somebody keeps coughing in the middle of my answers. But that's been news now for the last 24 hours.
Well, you know, David Brinkley said 30 years ago that people think all over the world, 24 hours a day, news is happening, when in fact, most days, absolutely nothing is going on. And that is the truth, and which is why when something actually does occur, you get wall-to-wall coverage because finally they can give up all this other garbage and move on. But you're absolutely right. It's terrible for our democracy. It's terrible for an informed public. And what's even worse is it's a complete turnoff to people 40 years of age and under.
No question.
No teenager is going to be watching local news or national news for that example on television.
Yeah, I think for those reasons, and also because now they just have their news apps and they, in 30 seconds or in a couple of minutes, they can get whatever matters to them. And again, that's the problem, right? What matters to them. Not in context of what matters to the world, their neighbors, their community, their city. What matters to them. Everything is personalized and customized. There's a wonderful, for marketers, it's great. Okay, we know who we're talking to and what to sell them for advertising. For citizens and voters, not so great.
To say the least. All right, let's take a break. We're going to go to other topics when we come back.
Tamarack Junction is South Reno's hotspot with over 450 of the latest slots and video games. Sully's Sports Bar, the Dining Car Restaurant, William Hill Sportsbook, and the Tamarack Steakhouse and Lounge. We're just north of the Summit Mall in South Virginia.
Yeah.
Because of UMC, there's a wide open road ahead of me.
Because of UMC, she can grow up with her twin sister.
Because of UMC, I'm here to help you.
UMC, the highest level of care in Nevada.
Hi, I'm Eric Robnett, owner of Home Energy Experts. Has this ever happened to you?
Honey, did you remember to turn down the thermostat?
Forgetting to set the temperature? Not fun. We can help. Our new smart thermostat keeps the temperature set for your comfort all by itself.
I'm feeling hot now.
To increase your comfort, go to homeenergyexperts.com for details. That's homeenergyexperts.com.
The signs and symptoms of cataracts can start out small with subtle changes in your vision. So don't wait. Be proactive and take your vision into your own hands. If you're experiencing the onset of cataracts or just have questions, contact your eye care professional or call Eye Care Associates of Nevada today. Dr. Hiss has years of experience specializing in the surgical correction of eye disorders and has completed over 84,000 vision correcting procedures. At Eye Care Associates of Nevada, we'll change the way you look at the world.
The Tamarack Junction Steakhouse is known for signature steaks, handcrafted cocktails, and world-class wines. Join us Thursdays and Friday nights from 4:30 to 6:30 in the Steakhouse Lounge for live music, gourmet plates, and well-priced wines, just north of the Summit Mall on South Virginia.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back Back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Billy Vassiliadis. He's the CEO of R&R Partners. I'm going to ask you this question as a joke, but which hotel casino do you think, when marijuana is federally legalized, will have the best recreation lounge?
We'll see.
What did you think about the decision to wait? There's going to be a commission. It's going to be at least 2 years, and yet we had Tig Segerblum on here the day before you came in, and he was talking about Colorado has lounges, San Francisco. There are lots of places we could have studied. Couldn't there have been a place that Las Vegas had already approved, the city of Las Vegas had already approved one?
Well, I don't think he would have wanted to study Denver, as the city's had some challenges with their business community. Look, let me just say this, I don't know what's right. I know that there is a demand among a certain segment. I know it would be popular to have lounges. And I think it's probably a pretty good idea to have lounges off the top of my head. But we paid more attention to regulating liquor, right? They're set apart from schools, from churches, bars from each other, right? We've regulated those types of industries. I don't think enough thought went into this when it went legal. And even the way the permitting process was, the difference between the state and the counties, it was kind of a free-for-all. And I think the idea of taking a breath, we're not talking about whether a lounge is going to happen or not. We're talking about taking a breath and having something resembling some tests, some litmus tests, what's good for the community. And as somebody who, as you know, cares deeply about tourism in this community, how it impacts the product. It might impact it in a good way. It may not. We should know, as this continues to be this state's lifeline and what funds schools and roads and everything else that we have here. And so I think it's a matter of just knowing what we're doing versus shooting from the hip. And that's the only reason that legislation passed. Pilot lounges are going to happen. I'm sure as I'm sitting here. That's not the question. It's how many, where should they be, what should the setbacks from schools, churches, resort properties be? Hey, they may come back and say, none. I don't know. But there needs to be an opportunity to think and plan.
Do you think that there's any chance within the next 2 years that there will be a change in the federal legislation?
Oof. Depends on who wins the White House, I guess.
With Jeff Sessions
maybe.
Gone, it seemed like there was already a change in the White House.
There's been, yeah, no question. There's been a change. I don't know where AG Barr's at, but I think the election will probably determine whether there's going to be more of a change or not.
What did you think of the session?
I thought it was good. I thought that for blue collar Nevadans, it was a good session. Whether it was the increase in the minimum wage, whether it was time off to take care of sick parents, sick kids, PTO bill, whether it was a little more focus on equitable workplace, equitable pay, et cetera, fair treatment, surprise billing, I think was a pretty big piece of legislation. And I also think that the Chamber and a lot of business folks did a really good job in recognizing the changing landscape and making sure to be a part of it and not be outside of it, so as to also protect business from being adversely affected and impacted, especially small business. And so I think generally it was a pretty well-balanced session.
Were you bothered that the governor kicked back the money for the schools back to the counties?
Boy, I'll tell you, no. I mean, the reason I'm not bothered by it is because I think until, and hopefully this will happen in 21, this is the most progress we've made in really looking at school funding since I've been here. And so hopefully in this 2 years and in 21, they come back with a funding package that has certainty, predictability, stability, right? That schools are funded, kids are funded in the right way, because it's been very haphazard, very hit and miss. I think the governor made a calculation as to, there's been a lot of concerns from people in Clark, people in Washoe especially, that they have needs that are greater than the state can determine. Transient population, Spanish-speaking students that are coming and learning English here. The growth, right, the infrastructure pressures. So I think the governor looked at it and said, well, we'll give counties the opportunity to address it as they see fit in some of these cases, as we take the next 2 years to figure out, hopefully once and for all and finally, how this state's education should be funded.
Do you think the commissioners in Clark County are going to go for it?
What did Commissioner Segerblom say in your previous segment?
Oh, he was excited to sign that today.
I think he's a barometer. Yeah, look, I think so. I think
some might say an outlier.
I think the look, the commissioner's going to have to look at it, and they're the this can corner me. Everybody says this, but they're the closest to the actual working folks and the parents in this community, and they get it. They get where those pressures are because they hear it, and they've been getting blamed for education funding even though they've had nothing to do with it. And so, yeah, I think something will pass. Yes, I believe it will.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back and we'll talk about one of my favorite subjects that I know is on your wife's mind when we come back.
Dimitri Prine here for Design Outdoor. Are you a homeowner who's interested in remodeling or building a home? At Design Outdoor, we can show you how adding natural or manufactured masonry stone can add beauty and value to your home. And we refer only the best contractors. Our store and backyard are located at 11600 South Virginia, just north of DeMonte Ranch Parkway. Visit designoutdoor.com or call us at 851-9499.
Hey guys, are you watching the game at a friend's or the bar again because you can't watch at home with your wife? Or worse, because she kicked you out and kept your couch, your flat screen, and your kids? What's the one thing a man needs when he loses a good woman? A good lawyer. And when he loses a bad woman, he needs a great lawyer. What makes a good woman a bad woman? You tell me. You're the one that can't watch the game in your own home. I'm men's rights attorney Marilyn York, and I represent men in divorce, custody, and family law matters.
Hi, I'm Dave Newman. Remember me? I used to be the house detective, and now I'm a realtor full-time at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates. A lot of people ask me, how's the market? You know what? It's fantastic. If you're even kicking around the idea of buying or selling, give me a call. Let's talk about it. Call me at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates and just ask for the guy who used to be the house detective, Dave Newman.
Everyone is talking about opioids, but they're not the only drugs that can be harmful if taken in large quantities or not as prescribed. You also need to be aware of side effects from anxiety drugs, muscle relaxants, sleep aids, and stimulants. Mixing prescription drugs with other drugs or alcohol can be dangerous. If you take an Ambien with a glass of wine, it may be enough to stop you from breathing. Prescribed drugs can be just as dangerous as illegal drugs. Take medications only as directed.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation here in part two of our interview with Billy Vassiliadis. He's the CEO of R&R Partners, and I referenced your wife. She heads up the airport here in Clark County. The discussion has opened up again about Ivanpah. Yep. And this will be a second airport. The original plans that were discussed several years ago were that this would be where the freight would go, that would leave McCarran open for tourism. But it's not just an airport, it would be a whole community out there. I think the airport itself is about 20,000 acres, and then all the development that will come with land from the federal government. Some people are already saying, I don't think, like Tig Segerblom, for example, was not excited about this idea at all. Is this a reality? Is it like 2040 is the year when we need additional water and we need a second airport? Because that's the kind of planning it takes for something like this.
So, again, I'm going to be very careful here to preserve my 35-year marriage. Rosemary's intent here isn't to go build an airport tomorrow. It's the fact that all the plans were put on hold when the recession hit, right? And as you know, and your viewers know, getting federal approvals, environmental impact studies, protected wildlife, et cetera, can take years and years. So I think what she's doing is, as McCarran now has had record numbers for, I don't know, at least a year. I mean, month over month, year over year, they're growing like crazy. I know she believes there's still quite a bit of capacity left at McCarran. I know there's some things that the FAA is doing to make it operations more efficient, be able to have more operations in the same footprint. What she's trying to simply do is, at the point in time that the future county mothers and fathers, future policymakers decide, okay, we need an overflow, we need to relieve the pressure at McCarran, that they're not starting at zero, that they can begin and have a quicker process once they've made a decision than it would otherwise take. So I think she's just preparing things. If a future county commission or policymakers decide they need it, they'll have a lot of the work done.
With and your other hat would of course be the convention authority. With the number of rooms that are being built now, the expansion of the convention center, and the continuing unbelievable growth pattern as we've changed again, with Las Vegas becoming now the biggest sports community. I personally don't see any slowdown in the growth.
I don't know that there's a slowdown. I think we've got some interesting things. Well, first of all, our customers are transitioning and transforming by generation, by age group, wants, needs. Sports is the timing of bringing sports in was perfect. It was great in that we needed to open a new audience base. The traditional gambler is still coming here, but not as often because there's 2,000, I'm exaggerating, there's at least 5-8 options wherever they live, right near any major metropolitan city. So I think what you're seeing is you're going to see good convention growth, good special events growth, good entertainment growth. And I think you're seeing the CEOs also in the companies beginning to put, they've been doing it for a while, but it's getting better and better, at a greater value on the type of customer than just more and more. What's profitable and what can our infrastructure handle? What keeps the customer experience a good one versus making it a miserable one? So I don't know that I'm comfortable projecting what the growth will be. It will be steady. I don't know that there will be the spikes because frankly, we don't have the rooms for the spikes.
But at a certain point, it's going to become more and more logical to build. I mean, everything has been refurbished along the Strip. I mean, that was one thing that was good that came out of the recession was I think just about every room that could possibly be refurbished was refurbished. You have new properties, Resorts World coming online. Eventually the Drew will come online. GSR, the ownership of GSR, Alex Morello with SLS is I think doing a wonderful job there as he did in Reno. Is it only a question of time before more operators come in and figure that it's time to actually build? I mean, Station Casinos and Boyd have properties all around the 215 that they could jump into at some point.
I think, again, unlike the past, I think they'll measure the marketplace because the other decisions to look at that they have to make is also where do they improve the current, how much money they spend improving the current product. Now, there's anything wrong with it. But creating even more attractions like sports, what that next level of attraction will need to be. Customer experience is becoming obviously the most critical thing to look at and to spend against. So whether it's volume or there's a bit of a bit more focus on quality, marketplace will decide.
In places like Macau, that's really easily defined between the VIP and the gross gaming revenues. And it's interesting to see how we've gone to other places and now we're learning from the experiences there and bringing them back to Las Vegas. Parking fees, do they go away?
Maybe. I mean, I think it's a property by property or company by company decision. I think you've seen some begin to scale back a bit. I think to some extent some of the other companies feel that the initial sort of reaction is now leveled off. For Vegas it was probably a bit of a culture shock for the visitors, but if you look at what parking costs everywhere else in America and every other tourism destination in a major city, they're not hitting them for much. And so I think that, again, one of the things about Las Vegas, and particularly the properties and the convention authority, they research the heck out of these decisions. They're not made in the blind. They're not made, in a vacuum. So I think the properties are reacting and will react or won't react depending on what they're getting from their customers. And customer satisfaction, bookings, all those kinds of things will inform the decision.
What do you think Caesars Entertainment is going to look like in 3 years?
Boy, that's a really good question. They're going to need to get some reinvestment. I mean, I think they're going to need to take a look at like a Rio and see what can they do there. It's a great piece of land. You got the football stadium nearby. There's things happening there. I think they're going to need to do some refresh on some of the current properties.
But do you think it's going to be one cohesive unit, or do you think, you know, Phil Ruffin's going to own a piece and Las Vegas Sands might own a piece? And
well, even if it's one company, one holding company, I think the one thing that we've seen from the MGM and Caesars, the importance of reinvesting in those individual brands. So even if it's one company on paper, one holding company in the stock market, I think you'll see Caesars, as the MGM is doing too, is look at some of their individual properties and saying, there's more ceiling here, there's more ceiling here. Here's a competitive set that we need to be going after. So it'll become a little less, I think, corporate decision making and a little more aimed at building the property brands up.
And that's where we have to leave it. Thank you so much for all this time.
Sam.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Let's do it again soon.
We'll do it.
And we'll be right back.
A bird's eye captures its surroundings at different heights. At Brian Culpa Photography, we can make your imagination soar over buildings, parks, cityscapes, and beyond. Brian's images tell the story and get the job done. If you need a new perspective to tell your story, contact Brian today. Brian Culpa Photography. Experience the bird's eye view at brianculpaphotography.com.
Hey, Dad? Why are you learning? This place is great. Huh? You gotta try this.
Wow, this stuff is great. People are gonna love it.
Yes. Yes, they will.
St. Ives Florist, for every holiday and every special occasion. For romance. Custom home design. We have the largest selection of fresh flowers in northern Nevada. And we also offer a large selection of unique gift items. Come see me, Lori Ann, at St. Ives Florist, 700 South Wells Avenue, or call me at 333-9190.
Take a look at Pro Group Management and see how your workers' comp requirements can be met head-on. By taking a proactive approach, Pro Group can assure that your company is meeting or exceeding state and federal standards. As you move forward in your industry, Pro Group moves with you, simplifying regulatory tasks, clearing the way so you can get the job done and look to your future success. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Our thanks to the Las Vegas Metro Chamber for hosting us, and always you can catch all of our shows at NevadaNewsmakers.com and on YouTube. We'll see you on the next broadcast.